Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video. It is finally summer, so I thought this was the perfect time for me to do some book recommendations I have for you guys for the summertime. I love reading thrillers, romances, and horrors in the summer, so my recommendations are romances, thrillers, and horrors. Hopefully those appeal to you guys. I just am not the type of person that wants it to be 90 degrees outside and me reading a high fantasy. It doesn't click. I will pick up fiction from time to time, like just general fiction, whether it's historical fiction or not. I'll pick those up from time to time, but my main go-tos are thriller and romances. So I hope you guys find some good ones in here. I have 30 book recommendations for you guys, so it is a lot, but I think all of these books are great to pick up for the summer. Not that they're necessarily specifically like about summer, taking place during the summertime, but I think that they're going to be quick reads for you to kind of just like get lost in while reading at the beach or doing something fun, something like that. So I think I'm going to start with the thrillers and horrors first. The first book I actually don't have a physical copy of because I listened to that one on Libby, but it was such a good read. It was fast paced, it was quick, it was like a thriller that also was kind of funny, and it was such a good read. It is Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. This book was just so much fun. If you like podcast elements in your book, I highly recommend this one. This one, we're following our main character who one day her best friend ends up dead and she is found walking down the streets covered in her best friend's blood. People think she killed her best friend, but nobody can prove it. Nobody knows what actually happened to her best friend, and neither does she. She has no memory of what happened that night. This podcaster decides that he wants to essentially solve the case, and she ends up going back to her hometown. Conveniently, at the same time, the podcaster guy is also going to be in her hometown, and they end up kind of like working together to solve what happened to her best friend all those years ago. And the twists and turns that happen in this are insane. The book is honestly just so fast paced. It's so much fun, and the podcast element in this was done so well. So I would highly recommend this one. The book is so good. It's kind of funny, like there's humorous elements to it, even though we're talking about literally crime and murder. So it is kind of funny at times, which I think added to the whole story, but definitely recommend this one. I really enjoyed it. The next book I have is The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This is like one of my top 3 books from him. I think a majority of people will agree that this one is probably one of his best. This one was so addictive. It kind of gave Lizzie Borden vibes, but in this case, there's only one survivor for this family massacre, and we're following a caregiver who ends up taking work at this very creepy house to care for this woman who is accused of essentially killing her entire family, but she adamantly says she didn't do it. And the ride that we go through in this story is so crazy. The vibes in this very much give kind of like dark academia, kind of like gothic-y vibes, which I personally love. So if you like that, I think you'll love this one. It was hard to put down, and honestly, I just loved it. One of my top faves from him, and I would highly recommend this one for sure. The next book we have is Murder Road by Simone St. James. I think this is probably my favorite Simone St. James book. This one gave perfect summer spooky vibes. I was thinking that this wasn't going to read very spooky, but it actually did, and I was so glad that it did because it gave me exactly what I wanted when I read it. We are following a couple who is going like on their honeymoon, and they're driving through this town, and they see this woman walking down the road, so they stop to pick her up to see if she needs help. And when they get her into the car, they realize that she's bleeding, and they end up taking her to the hospital. And while they're at the hospital, a police officer kind of like comes up to them and starts questioning them and telling them not to leave town because this road that they picked up this woman is a road that they've been having a lot of mysterious situations happening and deaths. Now they're being suspected of whatever the weirdness has been going on. So this couple is essentially trying to vindicate themselves and figure out what is actually happening. And this got crazy. This one was so much fun. I think this one was just really done well. It really gives the summer spooky vibes that you want, so I would highly recommend this one. The next book we have is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This one, if you do not like puppets or dolls or like, you know, creepiness from that aspect, you might not like this because we do get that in this. It's not super spooky in my opinion, but I did have a fun time reading it. I do think the twists were fun, and We're essentially following this girl who has to go back home when she finds out that her parents died to essentially get the house ready and, you know, go through their stuff and stuff like that. And it just gets crazy and it gives summer-esque vibes. This one's a good one. The next book we have is Seed by Anya Alborn. This one has more supernatural vibes, so if you don't really like to read about maybe like possession or stuff like that, like maybe this one's not for you. It's a very short book. It's less than 250 pages. It's a quick read, but it's crazy. If you like creepy kids, this gives creepy kids. This one is following Jack, who has had this kind of like presence following him his whole life, and when he thinks he's finally lost it, it comes back, and he has a daughter, and let's just say the daughter starts acting funny. It's really short, and I think this one's perfect for just like a quick creepy read. I love a haunted house, so of course I have yet another haunted house story. This one is The September House. What I love about this one is that it's funny while also being so creepy. There are scenes where you're laughing out loud, and then the next scene you're just like, what the heck just happened? I think this one works if you're not into like a super serious scary. This one is kind of like a nice segue because it's kind of humorous while still getting that spooky element. So this one follows Margaret and her husband who buy this house, and they're so excited because the house is beautiful. It's like their dream home, but it was like so reasonably priced and they couldn't understand why, but they were so happy. So they were like, this is great. And then September rolled around, and all of a sudden the house started being so weird. And every September after, they realized that the house consistently is weird every September. So Margaret, not being like everybody else who would want to leave the house when they realized creepy things are happening in their house every September, she decided she was going to stay and learn to deal with it. And wow, does Margaret deal with it. This one is so crazy, it's fun, and I highly recommend for a haunted house vibe. Next, we have one of my favorite Riley Sager books, The Last Time I Lied. This one is such a perfect summer camp vibe. I could not recommend this one enough. We are following a girl who, when she was in summer camp, she was bunking with 3 girls who disappeared. And many years later, now an adult, she gets asked to go back to the summer camp. And she doesn't have great memories because while she was there, 3 girls literally went missing and no one knows what happened to them. So she takes this opportunity to go back to the summer camp to essentially figure out what happened that summer and what happened to those 3 girls that she was living with and get answers. And the twists and turns you get in this, the ending was crazy. Everything about this was so much fun. Definitely perfect summer vibes. The next book I have is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. If you like thriller books that get dark, you're gonna like this one because this book got dark. We're following 2 sisters who've had kind of like just a hard life, and one of their sisters actually disappeared. Nobody knows what happened to them, and one day, one of the main characters, Claire, her husband gets murdered, and that essentially just spirals into them trying to figure out a whole bunch of stuff about their past, and everything ends up turning up crazy, and the twists and the turns and everything about this was honestly a ride. It can get dark, so if you don't really like dark thrillers, this one might not be for you, but it does get crazy, twisty, and Karen Slaughter is not afraid to write dark and twisted things. The next one we have is The Butcher and the Wren by Elena Urquhart. This one is super short, and there's also a sequel. So if you do read this one and decide you like it, there is a sequel to this one. This one we're following 2 different POVs, and one of the POVs is in the POV of the serial killer that we're following in the story. And need I say more? This was her debut novel, so it was her first one, and I think honestly she did pretty well for it being her first book. This one is twisty, it's crazy. The second one picks up right where this one ends off, and it's really good, and I highly recommend. And this takes place in the bayous of Louisiana. So if you like the Louisiana vibes in the summer, you're definitely gonna like this. Have I said enough that I love a haunted house? Here's another haunted house. This one is The Haunting of Ashburn House by Darcy Coates. This one was surprisingly so good for me. There is a scene that I still think about to this day from this book that had me just like, girl, run. And I still think about it. And it's crazy. This one's following Adrian, who's down on her luck. She's very much struggling to get by day to day. And one day she ends up finding out that she's inheriting this house from a family member. And wouldn't you know, this is like her saving grace. She and her cat move into this house, and she's thinking this is going to be the start of something new for her. It's going to be a big transition. She's going to start turning things around, and things start happening. People start questioning, like, hey, you know, are the rumors true about this house? You know, she has some friends that come over because they want to see the house, and just like everybody knows what happens at Ashburn House. So Adrian goes through those experiences, and the ride, the twists that come into this are crazy. I had such a great time with this. Like I said, good haunted house. That might not be what you think. This one's a good one. The next book we have is The Troop by Nick Cutter. We're following a troop master and his little troop who every year they go to the Canadian wilderness to kind of like, I don't know, meet their requirements for like their troop scout stuff. I don't know anything about troops, but every year they go, and it's like on this isolated little island. So thinking they were going to be alone, they were very surprised when a stranger just kind of like appears on the island too. And not only is he just like this weird stranger that just showed up, but he's also acting very weird and very thin and also like starving. Turns out he is the carrier of this bioengineered something. And it gets crazy. If you are a squeamish person, this might not be for you. But this got crazy. Next, we have a recent read for me, We Used to Live Here by Marcus Kleiwer. As you guys know, I read this in a reading vlog a couple videos ago, and I absolutely loved it. So, of course, I am recommending it for a summer read because this was so much fun. This is haunted house, creepy family. There are scenes in this that I still think about. I had so many questions when I finished this, but it did not take away from the overall experience of reading this. I absolutely devoured this, and I would highly recommend. We're following this couple who purchases this house, and one day they receive a knock on their door, and this family shows up, and the dad says that when he was young, he used to live here. He wanted to show his family the house if they could come in for a little bit just to see the house. Lots of circumstances end up happening, and they never leave, and it just gets crazy. It's such a twisty ride. If you haven't already read this, I highly recommend you do it because it's not that long and it's crazy. Next, I have Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. This one is perfect for a thriller mystery vibe that's not spooky at all, but very revengeful, very justice based. This one is such a ride. We are following two dads who are seeking justice for their two sons who were murdered. The path that these two dads have to go down in order to find out what happened to their sons and the lengths that they will go to bring justice for their sons is unmatched. This is crazy. It's a page turner. I did not want to put this down. It was so good. The next book I have is Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This is another thriller that you would think is not going to be dark, but it is dark. This one was so twisty. I did not see the ending coming at all. This one is following Angela, who disappeared when she was a teenager. Nobody knows what happened, and her two best friends have no idea what happened to her. 14 years later, her remains are found, and it turns out that she was a victim of this very known serial killer named Calvin. And her best friend has lots of secrets, and those secrets start to come out. This book gets super twisty. The ties in this is not a cozy thriller at all. So definitely be aware that if you're going to pick this one up, it can get dark, but this one is really good. The twists are really good. Jennifer Hillier's writing is amazing. This was crazy. The next one I have is She Started It by Cian Gilbert. This one is following a group of girls who go away on this remote island for a bachelorette party. And this one is literally the epitome of girl grudges. Girls are mean. But this one was crazy. I love the vibe because like I said, we are on a remote island. So I think it's perfect for like those summer vibes. But this got twisty. Like I said, mean girls are mean girling in this. And this one was pretty twisty. Next, I have Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This one is such a short, quick read, which is why I think it's like the perfect summer vibes. And there's also a TV show on it, which I have seen. I will say the book is better, but it was fun to see it come to life. But this one's essentially following a reporter who has gone through a lot, but she recently gets out of her stay at a psych hospital for a while, and she ends up going back to her hometown to cover a case of two missing teenagers. And it's twisty, it's fast paced. I think you could read it in a day. That's how unpundable it was. It was gripping from the start. The next one I have is Mary by Nat Cassidy. If you like small towns, supernatural-esque vibes, and culty vibes, you're gonna like this. So we're following Mary, who starts experiencing these weird symptoms. She's seeing things that aren't really there. Whenever she looks into the mirror, her reflection is not what it should be. Things are not okay. And she goes to the doctor, tells her doctor what she's experiencing, and he's like, oh, menopause. You're just going through menopause. And she was like, it's not what's happening. So she ends up going back to her hometown, and it just gets crazier. It just gets crazier. There's secrets, lots of creepy things happening, lots of weird, strange things happening. This also is one of those kind of like spooky books that has like funny elements to it, because there were parts that were kind of funny. But this one is honestly crazy. Mary, poor Mary. And the last thriller I have for you is yet again another haunted house story, but also my other top favorite Riley Sager book, Home Before Dark. This one used to be my very favorite one until I read The Last Time I Lied, and I think that one took it for me. But this one is such a great haunted house vibe. Just like in the other ones, there is a scene in this that has stuck with me that was so creepy from when I remember reading it. We're following Maggie in this one, who I think it was like 25 years ago when she was like really young. Her family ends up in the middle of the night just packing up and leaving this house that they bought. And 25 years later, she has to go back to this house, and she uncovers a lot of craziness about why did her family just up and leave this house 25 years ago in the middle of the night? What happened? She finds out, and it's crazy, it's twisty, it's spooky, it's so much fun. This one, it's not funny. There's no humor in this one. And I know I'm saying fun, and it's like, okay, well, how was it fun? But this was fun. This one was a page turner. It's perfectly spooky while also like trying to solve like this mystery element. And this one is just perfect for a haunted house vibe that is not what you think. Okay, on to the romances that I have recommended. The first one we have is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This was the first book I read by Catherine Center, and I absolutely love this. We're following Hannah and Jack. Hannah actually gets hired to be Jack's bodyguard because he's like this superstar famous person. This one was just so much fun. There is a scene in this that had me furious because I was like, what? But when you learn why it's happening, it all makes sense. But in the moment, I was fuming. This was so crazy, but it was such a quick, fun romance. The couple, when you read them together, they're just like such a great vibe, but it also can get very serious and very crazy, and a great summertime read. The next one we have is a recent read for me, Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I will recommend this book for any season, at any time, at any day. This book was so good. I absolutely love this. Bo is literally my favorite male character at the moment. Him and Win made such a perfect couple. They were the banter, the friendship that they developed, even the friendship that they have outside of each other, like their friend groups were great. Everything about this was just so much fun. This is a pregnancy trope. We are following Win and Bo, who meet at this Halloween party, and they have a one-night stand. 6 weeks later, Win finds out that she's pregnant, and she kind of gives Bo like the opportunity to be like, look, if you're in or out, like that's fine, but I need to know, because if you're in, you have to be in. I'm comfortable doing this by myself, but if you want in, you got to be in. And he was like, no, I'm in. And we're just following their journey, going through the process together and seeing their relationship develop from friendship into more. This book is so good, and if you haven't read it already, please pick this up because it was so good. Next, we have probably one of my favorite reads from last year, Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. I love this book. It's nothing crazy, just a basic summer romance, but she wrote it so well. The banter we get in this, the couple that we get in this, like everything was just done so well. It's literally just the perfect summer read. It's not very long either, so I highly recommend absolutely any Annabelle Monaghan book, but definitely this one. This one does follow Allie, who's kind of going through a really hard time. She's recently divorced, her mom just passed away, and she's just going through a hard time. And then we have Ethan, who is just honestly perfection. Loved Ethan in this. This one is so bingeable. I think I read this in 24 hours. It's just such a quick read, but it's exactly what you want from a summer romance. The next book I have is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This book I read a while ago, but I still remember how funny this story was. There are scenes in this that I still think about that make me laugh. This one was really good and honestly just a perfect summer read because we're going on a honeymoon. So this one follows Olive and Ethan, who are kind of like enemies or whatever. Olive and Ethan were both a part of Olive's sister's wedding. Something ends up happening and everybody in the wedding except for Olive and Ethan get food poisoning. So Olive's sister can't go on her honeymoon with her husband. And since they already paid for it, they were not wanting the trip to go to waste. So they told Olive and Ethan to go on the honeymoon and just enjoy the vacation. Olive was like, yeah, I'm not gonna let Ethan go on this honeymoon and have the time of his life and not me, just because we have like this little rivalry. So they end up going, and this is just so much fun. This is literally a laugh out loud rom-com, and I highly recommend if you haven't read this one. It's very fun, it's bingeable, it's just a great beach read. The next book I have is Flawless by Elsie Silver. If you have not already read Elsie Silver books, you definitely need to. Her romances are so much fun, and if you like a cowboy romance, this one is definitely going to be it. This is the first book of her series, the Chestnut Springs series, and this one we're following Rhett, who is a professional bull rider who has a bit of image issues going on right now. So in comes Summer, who is his agent and needs to essentially clean up his image. And of course, a romance starts brewing, and this one is so much fun. Rhett and Summer, absolutely love them. This is a perfect summer read because you're going to binge this in like one sitting. It's so fun. It's so fast paced and just such a fun time. I absolutely love this series and I highly recommend. The next book I have is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez because of course, you guys know I just recently read this 5-star read. I highly recommend. Yes, this does not take place in the summertime, but it's the perfect beach read. Like this book, the romance, it is a little hard. There are tough topics being discussed in here, but the romance in this is so sweet. This is a insta love, long distance relationship, but this one was done really well and I absolutely loved it. I've yapped about this book so many times, so I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but highly recommend. Perfect book for the summer. The next book we have is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I love Ashley Poston. Yes, she has a new book out this year too that I cannot wait to get to, but this one is probably my favorite one from her so far. She does so good at writing romance books with magical elements to them that don't even really feel magical. Like they feel so like, oh no, this could happen. Like this could totally happen. This one is following Clementine, who ends up inheriting her aunt's apartment, and her aunt always told her that there was something special about the apartment and, you know, all these things about the apartment. She never really knew what she meant until she finally moved in. And when she moves in, something strange happens. One day she enters her apartment and there's a guy in her apartment. She's just like, whoa, what's happening? Turns out Guy is living 7 years in the past and she is 7 years in the future. And this book, it's so good. If you haven't read this one already, I highly recommend. This romance is so good. I don't even have words. Ashley Poston really killed it with this one. The writing, the story, the way it's told, how it all comes together in the end, like it's just such a good read. I would highly recommend this one. I honestly do think I'm going to be rereading this one this summer, so I highly recommend. The next book we have is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. This book is so good. I love this. I love this book. I love this series. I have one more I need to read, Can't Get Enough, because that one is Hendrix's story. I can't wait to read that one, but this is the first book in the series. There are 3 books following the 3 main friends that we find in these stories. So this one is following Yasmin. She and her husband Josiah end up having some really tough times in their life, and it ends up really impacting their marriage, and their marriage falls apart. They end up getting divorced, and they are dealing with grief. They're dealing with, you know, their separation, lots of struggles going on in this. but this story is a second chance romance, so we do see how they are able to work through all of their troubles and actually find their way back together. And this story is so heartwarming and it's highly worth the read. The next book we have is Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver, yet another Elsie Silver book. This is part of her third series. It's called the Rose Hill series. This is actually the second book in that series. The first one is called Wild Love. So if you want to read the books in order, you definitely can. The first one is really good too. But the second one is the one I'm recommending for summer because this one is so good. This one we are following Skylar. She is like a country singer, but she's been having a lot of bad press lately. So she goes to Rose Hill to stay to kind of just like decompress and kind of just like find some peace. And of course she meets Weston. Weston is a single dad with 2 adorable children. He is Cowboy. He is Cowboy and I eat him up. And this book is so cute. Their relationship, I love them. I love the children. Everything about this was so good, and this is a perfect summer read and highly recommend. The next one we have is Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. This one is part of like the When in Rome series, so we're following like all of the siblings through each of the books, and this one is my favorite. This was my first 5-star read of the year. This one we're following Emily and Jack. They are both second grade teachers and they have a rivalry. They are enemies. They have some of the best banter I've read in a book. I absolutely love them. Jack ends up moving away because he's supposed to be getting married, and Emily is so ecstatic. She's like, yes, my worst enemy is finally gone. Turns out he's back. And not only is he back, but he moves in next door to her. And this is such a fun romance. This is very much rom-com vibes. I had such a great time reading this. Tension, the banter, everything about them was just so much fun. And Sarah Adams, this When in Rome series is so good. I recommend this one, but definitely recommend the entire series if you haven't already read When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. This series is so much fun and I cannot wait for the next one. Highly recommend. Next we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I will say I never thought I would really recommend a Emily Henry book, but this one is it. This is like one of the only Emily Henry books that I've rated over 4 stars. Usually her books sit around a 3-star for me. I don't know if it was just like the time that I read it, or maybe I know a lot of people did speak to this one being very different compared to like her other books that she's released, and I think that's maybe why, because her other books just haven't really hit for me and this one did. I love this book. This is another second chance romance, but the setting we get in this is Maine, vacation home, all your friends just having one last vacation together at this vacation spot that you've been going to for years. We're following Harriet and Wynne, who have been separated for some time and they haven't yet told their friends. So they're pretending that everything's okay, that they're still a couple, that they're still very much in love while they're at this vacation, and everything starts to unravel and we're just kind of like being taken through that journey of them kind of like finding themselves back together and also just like developing their relationship with not only themselves but with their friends. And this book is so good. Another book that I think I want to reread this summer because the vibes are just so good, and highly recommend this one from Emily Henry. And the last book I have for you is Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez. This is actually the 3rd book in her very first series. It's like the Friend Zone, the Happily Ever After playlist, and then the Life's Too Short. So this is the 3rd book. They are interconnected standalones. However, I definitely think if you haven't already read her first series, you should definitely read the Friend Zone before you read the Happily Ever After playlist, because you will be very spoiled for the first one. But this one you can definitely read as a standalone. You really don't get any spoilers for the other books in this. This one is my favorite out of those 3, and I think this one really kickstarted Abby Jimenez's writing that we see today. This one was so good. I could not recommend this one enough. It was funny, it was fast-paced, the romance was a lot of fun. Everything about this was just so good. So this one's following Vanessa, who ends up deciding that she's going to start a travel like YouTube that ends up actually taking off. She does really well. Her whole purpose is that she really wants to take advantage of her life, seize the day. There seems to be like this situation in her family where none of the women live past the age of 30, and she's starting to approach that age, so she's thinking that this is going to impact her too. But something ends up happening, and her half-sister ends up leaving her baby in her custody, and she has no experience with having a baby or anything like that, so her life takes a very big turn from her very adventurous life to now being responsible for a baby. In comes her neighbor Adrian, who is like this really hotshot lawyer, and he ends up one day going over to help her when he hears the baby's very crying and she can't figure out how to calm it. That's essentially what we're following in this. Honestly, their relationship, how we see it develop, and everything that Vanessa's going through in her life, in typical Abby Jimenez fashion, we are following a topic in this that could be a little bit sensitive, so just know that going into it, it can get a little sad and a little hard at times, but I highly recommend this one if you haven't read this series. I know a lot of people didn't really start her first series, so I definitely think her first series is still worth the read, but this one for sure was probably my favorite from that series. But yeah, those are all of the books that I think you should add to your summer TBR if you haven't read them already, because they are all so good in one way or another, and I would highly recommend them all. And I'm so excited for lots of summer reading because we are officially in summer and I'm so excited. So I will be doing lots of summer reading. I have very long TBR of lots of summer reads that I want to get through, new and books that I already had on my TBR cart, but I'm excited to get to all of them. Hopefully I can. We'll see. I had like 30 books or something like that on that. So I don't know if I'll get through all 30 books, but I do have 3 months of reading to get through it, so hopefully I can. But I'm very excited. I think this is going to be a great summer, and I can't wait for some romances, some thrillers, and some horrors to get through in the summertime. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, I would love it if you would like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what books are on your summer TBR, if you've read any of these books, or if you're going to pick up any of these books that I recommended, because I would love to know. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye!